Lately, Taehyung has been quite active on social media, and each of his updates seems to have a purpose beyond the obvious. Although many might think he's just sharing casual moments from his life, those who follow his story closely know there are messages behind each post. For some time now, Taehyung has used subtle elements to make it clear that this connection is still present, strong, and full of meaning. Recently, he was spotted at a restaurant, and the most interesting thing about that appearance wasn't the location. What caught our attention was a small, fire-shaped mark on his plate. Furthermore, there has been a constant repetition of the color red in his most recent photos. At key moments, especially when there is some mention or distance related to Jungkook, Taehyung chooses that color as part of his outfit or surroundings. It's a clear way of saying he misses him, that there's something that hasn't yet been said in words, but is communicated visually. On that same visit to the restaurant, another relevant detail was added. The shirt he was wearing had red trim, which already fit his usual pattern. But this time, in the center of the garment, there was a figure that didn't go unnoticed, a rabbit. The rabbit is a symbol that many directly associate with Jungkook, not only because of his appearance and personality, but because it has been part of his iconography for years. The combination of that symbol with the color red reinforces an idea that doesn't need too much explanation. Taehyung isn't randomly dropping clues, he's saying, with visible symbols, that he feels Jungkook's absence and that the connection is as alive as ever. This isn't the first time he's done this. In fact, over the years he's built a visual language that he uses to communicate with those who are attentive. Every detail seems calculated, the color, the symbols, and the moments in which he posts. Currently, Taehyung is still in Paris. The activities he's shown in that city have been primarily artistic, fashion-related, but always accompanied by that same visual code. In the meantime, fans are eagerly awaiting his possible trip to Los Angeles, a city where Jungkook is also present. Until that possible reunion happens, the details continue to speak for themselves. Every post, every piece of clothing, every symbol is part of a larger message. And although Taehyung never says it directly, his choices speak clearly. So while his stay in Paris continues, attention remains focused on his every step. His photos, his public appearances, even his silences, maintain that constant message: he misses Jungkook. And those who have followed Taekook's story from the beginning understand it perfectly. Beyond rumors, theories, or speculation, what is clear is that there is a bond between them that cannot be broken by distance. They may not always be in the same place at the same time, but the messages continue to flow. And every time one of them appears with a seemingly insignificant detail, you have to take a second look. Because in Taehyung's universe, nothing is casual, especially when it comes to Jungkook. When it comes to identifying signs, there are details that can't go unnoticed. One of them is the bear bag Taehyung recently wore in Paris. It's not just any accessory, and it's not just an unimportant detail either. What's interesting is that the bear bag has a complementary version, a rabbit-shaped bag. These two elements are not only part of the same design, but they seem designed to be together. Taehyung didn't choose that bag at random. If you look closely, you can see that there's an intention behind each of these elements. Furthermore, in that same context, a video surfaced simulating Taekook skydiving in Hawaii. For those who don't remember, that was a very significant moment between the two. The connection between that video and the use of the bags can't be considered a mere coincidence. These types of references aren't new, they're part of a continuing series of signs that have emerged over time. Far from being random, these signs seem carefully planned to those who pay attention to the details. When Taehyung is shown with that bag, and at the same time a recreation of the video in Hawaii appears, what is generated is not just a visual reference, but a consistent narrative line where everything fits together. Although some may want to discredit these types of gestures, claiming that it's all fan-made or baseless theories, the facts show otherwise. For example, the video mentioning skydiving wasn't shared by just any account. It was posted on the official Jellycat account, the brand that makes the bunny and bear plush toys. This account isn't run by ordinary fans, it's an account of a recognized brand with a global presence. The fact that they shared this content is significant. They are, in a way, validating the narrative that many already know. It's a symbolic confirmation of a connection that's evident to anyone who looks closely. And yet, there's no shortage of people who try to downplay these events. Some insist there's nothing going on between Taehyung and Jungkook. They claim these coincidences are just that, unintentional coincidences. But ignoring the obvious doesn't make it disappear. Denying the constant synchronicity between the two doesn't change what's being shown before our eyes. Taekook's case isn't based on baseless speculation, it's a set of continuous signals, a story told through glances, gestures, and shared objects. The way they look at each other, how they touch without fear of being observed, how they position themselves physically close to each other in multiple contexts, speaks of a comfort that isn't feigned. They're not playing a role. There's no script. What we see is real. When someone appears wearing a character's bag and the matching pair of that bag has been symbolically linked to someone else, and then an official video appears evoking a specific moment the two shared, a narrative based on reality is constructed. Young audiences understand visual narratives very well, and this case is full of them. The connection between Taehyung and Jungkook has been constantly visible, not through public statements, but through actions that show closeness, familiarity, and trust. For those who want to deny it, the evidence doesn't disappear. The gestures keep happening, the objects keep appearing, the references continue. And even if many aren't willing to accept what exists between them, that doesn't change the facts. The relationship, whatever its exact nature, is there. Present in their daily lives, in their personal choices, in the small things that, when added together, make up a coherent whole. Over time, Taehyung and Jungkook have let the world see how their relationship has grown. Before, the moments they shared were brief and infrequent. Now, they're so constant that they no longer surprise, they only confirm what many have noticed for years. And they don't do it with nerves or doubts. They show it calmly. They don't hide it. They don't disguise it. They live it as part of their daily lives. It's an evolution that has been evident to anyone who has followed them closely. The gestures between them are not the same as they have with others. These are not things they do with just anyone. There's a kind of connection between them that is clearly noticeable. They hold hands without the need for cameras. They give each other massages without worrying about who's watching. They look at each other in a different, slow way. They calm each other down. They take care of each other. And most importantly, they understand each other without needing words. This doesn't happen with other members of the group. It only happens between the two of them. And that detail, however small it may seem, is key. Because in such a closely watched group, any display of closeness can attract attention. But they don't avoid it. They face it. And they do so naturally. There are recorded moments before going on stage where they are seen sharing unique moments. One encourages the other. He speaks softly. He calms him down. He prepares him. And he does it in such a delicate way that it needs no explanation. This isn't something rehearsed. It's not part of the show. It's real. What we see between them isn't something that emerges by chance. It's something that has grown over time. And now, what was once subtle has become clear. It's no longer about interpretations. It's about facts. About concrete moments. About glances, caresses, and silences that only occur when there's something more. For Taekookers, every appearance, every gesture, and every detail is further proof of what they've always believed. And today, more strongly than ever, what we see cannot be denied. What was once scarce is now constant. And that can only mean one thing: Taehyung and Jungkook have decided not to hide anything anymore. One of the clearest things when watching Taehyung and Jungkook together is the way they communicate without words. You don't have to listen to what they say. Just watch what they do. Because every gesture, every look, and every approach between them conveys something beyond the ordinary. The way they understand each other without speaking is unusual. There's a coordination between them that isn't repeated with anyone else. It's not a routine, nor something they do for entertainment. It's a form of connection that is seen both in public moments and in more intimate spaces. And that makes it even more evident. When they're getting ready for a concert, the cameras have captured scenes that speak for themselves. Jungkook approaches Taehyung to calm him down. He speaks close to his ear. He takes his arm. He makes him feel calm. And Taehyung responds with the same care. They don't do it because someone is recording. They do it because it's part of their dynamic. Because it's their way of being together. It's not just about supporting each other. It's something deeper. It's about giving energy. It's about understanding when the other needs calm. It's about knowing when to pause, when to reach out, when to touch gently to say, "I'm here." And that kind of connection isn't improvised. It only happens when there's a level of closeness that goes beyond the ordinary.